A friendly wave from fishermen along these calm waters masks the reality of what is going on here.
We go through the very narrow marshes when we're far away from police. Then we meet our Iranian suppliers near the Iranian border. Then we bring the drugs to Amara this way. We usually send our friends who are pretending to be fishing just to secure the way for us.
Iranian anti-drug officials estimate 8,200 tons of drugs are produced in Afghanistan every year, and 2,500 tons of that enters Iran, where 500 tons are consumed and another 500 confiscated by police. The remaining 1,500 tons goes to Iraq, and eventually 1,000 tons makes it to the Gulf and Europe. This drug trafficking route is becoming more and more lucrative. The lack of security along these waters as the result of US occupation on Iraq is enabling these men to carry on. The only border police presence along here is this station, and the officers admit that they can hardly control the waters.
Our job is very difficult and very dangerous. We don't have a single boat, so we can't do any patrolling. It's difficult to control these areas. They are wide open.
And that is exactly what these men want to hear.
We are more freedom with this business after the fall than we did before. The old regime used to block all the ways along the border, and many of our colleagues got killed or arrested. Now the borders are open and we can move easily and transport our goods.
Dr. Ali Mahmoud is with the Amara Anti-Drug Association and one of the few officials trying to tackle the problem.
Unfortunately, Iraq is now considered a drug exporting country in huge quantities. This is caused by the security situation in Iraq. The laws are not strongly enforced by authorities against smugglers.
Drugs are a lucrative business these days, and smugglers are wary about showing their goods. But even these smugglers say they would quit this business if there was a real financial alternative.
I'm 40 years old and I have 5 children, yet I have no other job other than smuggling. If the government was helping us in getting jobs, then I could quit smuggling, but they don't.
And until that happens, these men will continue to reap the benefits and continue to expand their networks. Mus'ab Jassim, Al Jazeera.
Well, most of the drugs that arrive in Iraq originate from Afghanistan, travelling through Nimruz province into Iran. Nimruz is the only province in Afghanistan not to host international forces, and officials say that's partly why, in security terms, it's been so successful. But Nimruz is growing in vulnerability too, not only from the drugs trade, but also the Taliban. Al Jazeera's Zena Hodder gained rare access to the province, from where she sent this report.
The gates of Zaranj, the provincial capital of Nimruz, are well guarded. It has to be because this highway leads to Helmand, one of the most volatile provinces in Afghanistan. This route needs to be protected, officials say, if Nimruz is to remain outside the Taliban's influence.
Some stretches of the Khash road are not safe. We're doing our best to secure the area, but we don't have enough policemen.
Approximately 1,000 policemen and border guards. That is the only security force policing Nimruz. No Afghan army soldiers, no international forces. Yet Nimruz is a strategic and vulnerable province.
The province shares largely unguarded borders with Pakistan and Iran, and one of the main drug trafficking routes in Afghanistan runs through Nimruz. The province's border chief tells us they know which roads are used by the smugglers, but with the lack of security forces, he says they can't do much to stop the illegal flow of arms and fighters from Pakistan.
We want foreign troops to be based along the border areas, especially at the Barmasha crossing in Helmand province. There is no security there, and the enemy uses it.
Here in the city of Zaranj itself, violence is not part of daily life. There have been suicide attacks, but compared to other areas, Nimruz has so far escaped the violence seen elsewhere in Afghanistan. Provincial officials say the fact that international forces are not deployed here has actually played a part in keeping the Taliban away.
Even when the Taliban were in power, they were forced to move the provincial capital from Zaranj to Gorgori near Helmand because they had no support. But the Taliban want to control Nimroz because it would be a good base for them to reach areas in the north.
Gurgaray district lies less than 100 kilometers away, and without additional Afghan troops, officials warn it will fall to the Taliban. A different reality than that in other districts of Nimroz. In those areas, officials say the reliance on local forces in maintaining security, backed by the support of the people, has kept the relative peace. Zana Khudr, Al Jazeera, Nimroz province, southwest Afghanistan.